it's Gwen and I'm back today with another scrapbooking process video. I'm playing along with Pink Fresh Fridays today. Yes, stash busting some more of my Pink Fresh goodies. I'm using the Best Day collection and I'm scrapbooking this picture, which is actually of me. I don't actually scrapbook a lot of vintage photos. I don't have very many. But this one I happen to have because I had printed out a bunch for my 40th birthday party and it's been kicking around the studio ever since. That was over 5 years ago now. And every time I'd go through my photos to look to create something with, it would like come to my mind. I would look at it and go, I really want to scrap this one, but I hadn't found the right collection for it yet. And it was only that I had been using this collection for some previous layouts that I saw the lovely blues, and it has a bit of a retro feel. It's nothing crazy, but I just thought it would really suit this photo. And I love how the blue in my little jumpsuit there sort of matches the blue in the flower cluster that I fussy cut out there. So I'm going to use that as my starting point and see where this layout goes. I am working with this cut file from Cut to You. It is called Lots of Leaves Frame and I'll leave a link in the description. And I'm going to use this one pattern paper in 3 ways. So first up, it is going to be my frame for the layout. I always like to have an edge on my layouts. I just find that finishes off things really nicely. I have also fussy cut out that floral element there that you see at the top of the page, the pink and yellow flower. That was printed on the pattern paper, so I've fussy cut that out and I'm going to use that as an embellishment piece. And then I'm also going to use the center part that was left from the frame to back my cut file. I'm going to use the blue to back the leaf parts, and I have also used a section of it there to fill in one of the frames. So this cut file has 2 frames. The photo is going to go in the bottom frame, and then just that pattern paper is going to go in the top frame, and I'm going to use that as a bit of an anchor point for some embellishment clusters. For the background, I'm using this really bright, happy yellow, and professional scrapbooker that I am, I went and cut it wrong. I cut an extra inch off that I didn't intend on doing. It was supposed to fill the whole background there. And I don't know, I never measure anything, but I was way off today. So I need another plan and I really want to use that yellow. So I thought I will have the yellow going down the left-hand side and make that the bulk of the background. And then I'll have a strip of this pale pink cardstock that's just from my stash down the right-hand edge. And for that, I thought I better measure, and I did make a pencil mark, and actually this time it worked out just fine. And you know what? I'm kind of glad that I made that mistake, because it would have just been like the plain yellow background, and I feel like this little strip down the side creates a little bit more interest, and it sort of makes the page a little bit different to what I would normally do, and I really love how it turned out. So luckily, not all mistakes are bad, hey. Sometimes they lead you down a path that you wouldn't normally have gone down, so I was really happy that I could think on the fly and come up with a solution that worked out really well. I've gone ahead and added my stitching. I did also add a little bit down that center part where the pink joins the yellow. I thought that was a nice little detail to add. There's stitching around my photo as I normally would do. And now I get to embellish. I'm going to really just use the layers in the cut file to help guide the layout design. I'm going to start by building one main cluster, which is going to be based on that fussy cut out element that I began with right at the beginning. And I'm going to then use the little pieces of ephemera to kind of build out the layers and extend that a little bit across the page. I'm then going to balance that out because that is on the right hand side of the layout. So I'm going to balance it out by adding some elements on the left hand edge there, right where you see that brown leaf. And then to create my visual triangle, I'm going to add some kind of embellishment and probably my title down in the bottom right hand corner of the photo. So that will be the 3 points in which if you line them up, your photo will be in the center, and that will help draw the eye around the page. So essentially I want the eye to travel from the top right hand corner down to my photo and then down towards the right to the title. If you haven't heard me talk about that on the channel before, think of it more as the flow of the page. I don't focus on 3 points of embellishment cluster. I think more about how the eye will travel across the page and the flow of the page. So all of my embellishment clusters will flow together rather than being 3 static points on the page. I hope that makes sense. And if this is the first video that you've been watching, I encourage you to go and check out some of the others because I do talk a lot about this in my process videos. Okay, so at this point, I'm really happy with how that top embellishment cluster is looking. See how nice and full it is. Lots of different elements that have come together there. I'm now going to focus on this bottom one, and it does give me a little bit of trouble. I'm not really sure what I want to put there. I did initially think title, and then I get sort of into it a little bit and played with some other elements, and then I do end up with a title there at the end. That one, that happy tag there, to me it just seemed a bit heavy, which is weird because the element that ends up there is larger than that, but I guess it's less blocky. I'm not sure why. I think too the mustard, I know I've got that mustard leaf up there, but yeah, I just wasn't sure about it. So yeah, now I'm messing with this little watering can and it stays there for a little while, but it wasn't feeling right. It's funny, I get to a point where I'm not sure what's wrong, but I know that it's wrong. I'm like, oh, I just can't figure that out quite yet. It doesn't feel right. And then when I place an element that feels right, I just know it. So I guess that's why I like to audition so many things all of the time, because if there's ever any doubt, I'm like, oh, well, what else can I try there? What else might fit? Especially sometimes it's things that I'm not expecting. And that's kind of how this one works out. Things are getting serious because I'm gluing stuff down. Gonna lock all of this into position. There's lots of bits and pieces there, so I want to make sure that none of that moves. And now I'm going to have a think about the textual elements, so things that are not paper. Everything so far is a die cut or like a chipboard circle, what do you call that? I don't know what they call them. It's like a flare, but it's chipboard and flat. So I am going to think about adding some of these puffy stickers, and one does end up right there on the left. I'm also going to add in a moment here some enamel dots, and I really love adding these as a bit of a finishing touch, and a lot of the time I will not include this in the video, and here's why, friends. It's painful to watch because I like to even audition the enamel dots in all the places. I don't just stick and plonk them. I'm very strategic about where they go and how they work together. And yeah, sometimes I'm just like, oh, you don't want to see that. That's just painful to watch. But I did include it in today's video for you just so that you can see. Sometimes I'll also even cut them off of the sheet so that I can really mess with their position, because obviously every time you change the position they lose a little bit of their stick. So sometimes I'll get my scissors out and I'll actually fussy cut them off the sheet so they've still got the plastic behind them, and then really play with their positioning, and then once I'm happy, pull them off and stick them down. Okay, so I've delayed it as long as I can. It's now time to decide what to do with this bottom corner. I end up adding this round element from the sticker sheet, and I feel like that really balances out the other circle elements on the layout. I'm also going to add in some typed little sentiments, including one that says cozy days together. I'm then going to add my title, and that's going to call the layout done. Thanks so much for being here, my creative friends. If you like the way that I scrapbook or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. If you're new, hi, I hope you enjoyed this one. Consider subscribing to see more videos just like this. Also be sure to check the description box below for all the other guys and girls playing along with Pink Fresh Friday, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye!